Hey guys, how's it going? What I wanted to do today is basically go through everything there is to go through on this specific website, right? So, Richard has asked me for some Duda SEO assistance, and if you'd like some of this yourself, please do send me an email like this one, or just head over to my website and you can fill out a form, and I'll set something up for you. Now, what we're going to be doing is usually I have like a specific sheet, an audit sheet that I go through all the different kind of aspects of SEO or the technical side of everything like that really. But today what I'm going to be doing is just kind of eyeballing it. I'm going to be going through the site and kind of actually looking at the pages, looking at the general design, and giving kind of an overview of what I think could be improved, right? Because he's told me so. You rely on getting the right traffic to my website, resulting in mortgage inquiries because he's a mortgage broker. So he helps people, like consults people on mortgages, first-time buyers, things like that. Very, very key service, especially in the UK at the moment as well. I mean, for me, this is someone that I would speak to if I was, because I'm a younger guy and I'm looking to buy my first home at some point. Something, I mean, it's a key service to have, and just from the get-go there are a lot of different kind of opportunities on the page. I can see that he's got quite a bit of content here, first time buyers, home movers, things like this. These are all kind of keywords that he can really utilize in terms of getting traffic and getting more leads coming to the business. So right off the get go, it's a good niche to be, looking at SEO and things like that. And I mean, it's something that I'd highly recommend. If you do run a company like Richard's, SEO and conversion rate optimization will massively benefit your, inquiries and leads and things like that, and general business rankings. So as for rankings on Google, I'm nowhere. Mortgage inquiries so far in 3 months, I haven't had any proper inquiries. So let's have a look at the actual site itself and see where we can kind of figure out what's actually happening and why this, isn't, why he isn't getting the kind of traffic he needs and the inquiries. I mean, that is the main kind of meat and potatoes of our campaign, would be getting inquiries for Richard, right? So right off the get-go, I would look at the actual pages he's got going on here. So we've got mortgages, protection, general insurance, and from kind of an outlook, that looks really good to me, right? I think to myself, okay, he's got loads of different pages, lots of content, but what's actually going on here, which I've noticed, I mean, I've just checked this site briefly for 5 minutes, but all of these are kind of anchors, right? So these aren't actually all pages themselves. These are anchors to different spots on one specific page, right? So you've got self-employed, contractor, and I've seen this with a lot of sites, right? And what happens is, I explained this before, is these pages become almost, they kind of spread themselves a bit too thin, right? I don't know if this has worked before, but with my, the way I do SEO and the way I set up a website is, a lot of people say, SEO's got, you have to do all these technical things and links and stuff like that. The main thing about SEO is the actual kind of organization of the website, right? And how are you planning out the build when you start developing the site, right? So are you planning out, okay, this page is going to be here, this page is going to be, a sub page to this category, and it's going to have this URL, and it's going to rank for this keyword. And the way I usually do this is through a sitemap, right? And I'll show you one that I've done recently. Let me show you Boulder Center of TMS, right? So, this is a very basic example. Let me show you something a bit more. Let me show you something a bit more in depth. So, like something like this, right? So, home, our services, and then we've got like, this company want to, rank for multiple, not only TMS, they want to rank for something called, they want to rank for psychiatry, they want to rank for medication, talk therapy, things like that. So then we make like sub pages, right? So we've got mental health services, accelerated TMS treatment, mental health services, Connecticut ketamine therapy, and it goes into these little sub pages like the learning center and then the learning center too. So what we're doing is we're breaking it up and we're categorizing them into different pages. Now that would be the first recommendation I'd have for Richard, right? I do, because like if we chuck you into Screaming Frog, which is a great tool if you don't already have it downloaded, is where you can basically chuck a website in, you can basically see all the kind of all the details, all the technical details around the different pages that you have. If you are really, if you're interested in seeing the title tags, the meta descriptions, the H1s, the word count, things like that, it works for us SEOs when doing monthly kind of audits. But as you can see here, you would assume when you land on this site that they've got quite a few pages. They actually don't. They only have really, like in terms of the pages that are going to be bringing in leads and clients, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and legal. Is that what's legal? Should have a look at. I don't know if that's like a privacy policy page or something like that. Legal, yeah, it's like disclaimers and things. So really, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4 pages that are going to be really trying to rank for keywords, and each of those pages aren't really going to be hitting many keywords because they are kind of spreading. They're trying to go for this one, they're trying to go for that one, they're trying to. It's like small amounts of content for kind of big topics, right? It's small amounts of kind of, I don't want to say useless content, but I want to say like it would be good if a client landed on this site, if you gave them like a business style, a card, or they found them through the Google My Business or something like that, and they directly went to the site, they could read a little bit of information about life insurance and then call up the business. Yes, that's great, but in terms of rankings and SEO, this isn't enough, right? And I don't know anything about this mortgage solutions. I don't know anything about this niche, but I can just tell you from general experience with SEO, if there's good keywords, you want to build pages, right? You don't want to build anchors. You want to build actual pages that have, life insurance, consultation or advice in this area in London, right, or in Kent. And that's another thing. Like that takes me on to my another point is. He's obviously, he told me that he wanted to, rank. I called him up and he said, I wanted to rank in Kent and London and places like that. Where are the location keywords? That's where I'd go next. Okay, so we've got things like we've got the Kent here, right? And I'm assuming this isn't a H1 or anything. It's just like a paragraph. Because like things like having a H1 tag. Yeah, I think it's just a paragraph. So, having a H1 tag, I'm assuming this is the H1. If it was developed correctly, what you want to do is you want to have a H1 tag on each specific page that you want to rank for, and then in that H1 tag, you want to have the keyword that you're trying to rank for. So it would be mortgage solutions, London, or general insurance, building insurance, Kent, right? So that is the next kind of point that I'd make. In general, I quite like this site. It's a nice kind of clean design. I'm not a big fan of all the stock imagery, but I understand there's a lot of topics and things, and there's a photo of Richard here, but the general site is kind of a lot of stock imagery, and I do believe that kind of makes the client question sometimes. For me, I'd be I like to see real. I think this is different, right? Because I work with a lot of medical clinics, and I always believe that transparency and real photos of them, getting treatment in the clinic, things like that, is key. Maybe I guess you could kind of take a bit more of a relaxed view with mortgage solutions and advice and insurance and things like that. However, I still do believe you want to have like a good set of real photos of you in the office, you speaking to clients, things like that, right? So coming back to the keywords, if we were to just plug you into Ubersuggest, which is a keyword tool, we can actually see, obviously the traffic, there's no traffic there, but the organic keywords, we've got 12 organic keywords, or supposedly, let me go to, here we go, England. And you know what, we've got what, so mortgage broker, So that's not bad. Okay, so we've got 210 volume per month, mortgage broker, Ashford, Kent. Right, so if you were to create a specific service page targeting that keyword with those location keywords, I believe, we could get you up in the rankings, right? So Kent mortgage brokers. Okay, so that's probably a bit more of a, I want to say it's more of a competitive keyword, but there's definitely, all of this is good to see. These aren't hard keywords to go for. Smaller volumes, but I reckon if you were to rank for, a good amount of these, it would build up and you start building traffic and more inquiries. So it's just changing the targeting, right? So it's adjusting the targeting of the site, adjusting the content. That would be my recommendation. I would look at. So I would look at. Let's note this down. Okay, so let me move this microphone here. Right, so if we were to move this over here, the first thing I do is all key words or all key services have a page, right? Have a page. Now, I know these are probably the key services here: general insurance, mortgage, things like that. Let's separate them. Let's do mortgages, and let's do that as a category page, right? And then inside of mortgages will have its own page, and that'll be mortgage broker. That'll be targeting mortgage broker Kent, right? Something like that. You've got to think of it as almost a sitemap. Okay, so we'd have something like mortgages, and then that page will be mortgage brokers Kent or mortgage brokers London, and then that'll be the keyword there, and then it will open up into sub pages, which will then be, you've got first time buyers Kent, or first time buyers London, things like that, home movers. And then what I would do, this is where the keyword research comes into play. You want to do some keyword research, figure out which pages are kind of worth building a page for, right? If that makes sense. So if there's a lot of, which I assume with a lot of these is a very popular, poor or low credit, things like that, very popular terms. Maybe some of these are more kind of for national rankings as opposed to local rankings. Like poor or low credit. Maybe that's more, let's target sort of nationally in the UK, something like that, or some more long tail keywords. And then, the other ones are kind of like, mortgage advice, things like that. That would be more local keywords. And that's what I would do. So I would do, also, all key services have a page. All key services have a page. This is quite hard to explain actually. So I'd break up okay, so what I would do, okay, best way to explain this, right? So all key services have a page and are ranking locally and yeah, okay, let's just keep it at that. All key services have a page, because what I would do is I'll send this over to Richard, but in a bit more detail, and I'll also send over the video for his reference. All key services have a page. I would break up pages into local and national targeting. So what I mean by that is, earlier when we mentioned things like mortgage broker Kent, I'd look at doing that, and then things like poor or low credit, people aren't really going to be searching that up in the local area. I don't know this for a fact because I haven't looked it up on the keyword research tool, but from general common knowledge, people are more kind of looking at that looking at that across the board on Google, right, in the UK, and looking for advice. So I would really be looking at the main keywords like mortgage broker Ashford, Kent, mortgage broker London, things like that, general insurance advice, life insurance, things like that, insurance advice in that specific area. So breaking up pages into local and national targeting, and then adding relevant keywords, relevant local keywords to service pages. Yeah, and kind of removing the anchor system, the anchor, or rethinking it, I guess you could say, rethinking anchors turn into pages, things like that. I know it's kind of like, I just wanted to, write this for you guys to kind of give you an idea of how I would then take this kind of this kind of consultation of what I've said, this advice, and turning into real actionable deliverables you can provide for your client. Okay, now this is a bit vague. I do apologize. That was my goal, but this is kind of how I work, right? So it's taking, the ideas and then putting them into actionable things. Now, the services that I offer, the things that I do is all about organizing. It all comes from the site build, right? And this is a clear example of when you really want to take control of the website development and the design before you start doing the SEO, because 9 times out of 10 it's a case of organization, right? So it's a case of when we're taking it all the way back, when we built the website, did we think about what keywords we wanted to rank for? Did we think about what pages are ranking for what specific keywords? And did we create something like this, right? Did we create a system which basically categorizes all the pages that then go for certain keywords, right? So we break them up into national, we break them up into local, as we've done here. Okay, so, and I think these are just as important as each other, right? These are just as important for gaining those local leads, which really, is the main thing that we're trying to do, pulling those local leads in, and then also these are more kind of getting that traffic to the site to help those local rankings, but then also providing a learning experience for users, right? So talking about TMS versus antidepressants, having quizzes on the site, having quizzes, guides, free guides, things like that. Now, coming back to this website here, this really reminds me of, well, I don't know if it's exactly the same process, but a guy in the UK called Money Saving Expert, huge company, well, huge like kind of blog, is a very good example of SEO, right, and marketing and things in general, because the way they do their kind of, this is a great site. They're ranking for tons and tons of keywords, loads and loads of traffic, and it's all about mortgages. The way they structure it is really nice, and they have lots of like interactive kind of calculators, things like this, credit card eligibility, loans, all of these different calculators is just build. This is like an SEO's dream, really, to be honest, or a conversion rate optimization. These kind of free weekly money tips email. So it's all of these kind of free, actionable things that you can offer to your users, right? And yeah, first-time buyer's guide. That's brilliant. That's something that I would look at doing. Free PDF guide for first-time buyers. So that's something that he could, I don't want to say, do the same as Money Saving Market, because I know this expert, because I know it's such a huge company and he's not, he's got a whole team behind him, but taking some of the things that, the ideas that he's gone down, the free guides, the free the calculators, the videos, the emails, things like that is going to be the next section, right? That's going to be the next part of the SEO campaign, or you could say the conversion rate optimization campaign. It's improving, we've got the traffic. How do we keep the traffic on the site? How do we not only convert customers to get advice from myself, from Richard, but also how do we keep them in the loop, right? How do we get those, what do we call them, micro conversions, right? So how do we get them to download a guide, right? How do we get them to take a quiz, right? How do we get them to sign up to the email? So it's keeping them in the loop and keeping them in contact, right? And this is all part of the effort. It's all a marketing campaign, really, isn't it? So yeah, that's something. That's kind of, I know it's hard because it's a lot of information, right? But if you can condense it into some simple deliverables, this is the best way of doing it, right? So, yeah, okay, that's kind of everything I wanted to go over for today. I didn't want to go too long into it because there's so much you can do with a site like this, right? There's a lot of avenues you can go down. The first one I would start off with really is just a kind of complete rethink of the different pages that he has and the keywords and the content. I mean, this is why I, when I develop sites, it's good to go with someone that's familiar with SEO and things like that as well, and plan them out systematically. But there's a lot of great content on here, and it's going in the right direction. You don't often see this with a lot of sites, and he's also got the fees, right? And this is so important. Having your pricing on your page is so important. A lot of companies don't do this, so this is a great great direction to go in. Now, if it was me, I would do a whole page on mortgage broker fees, because I assume that's a high keyword, right? Mortgage broker cost or mortgage advice, pricing, things. People always look at pricing for certain services. If you look at a service, it's usually service reviews or service pricing. So, that's another side to it. So that would be, one last thing before I go is think about your call to actions as well. Okay, so we've got a call now button up here. I'm looking on desktop, right? I can't, when I can see the number and I can pull up my phone and I can call that number. That's great, but why do we have a call to action down here saying call us today? That's just going to open up my FaceTime. It's kind of useless, right? So think about the call to actions, right? So something instead would be free consultation, right? So having a free kind of lead magnet, something like that, just a general bit of advice there. Think about the call to actions. When we chuck this into mobile view, I did have a look earlier. In mobile view, this is beneficial, right? Because when people click on that button, they will it will come up and it will call automatically from the phone, right? In this case, I would still actually just have the logo. What we usually do for clients is the logo, the hamburger kind of menu, and then a phone this side or the right side, I believe, because I think it's easier for a client to click with their thumb on the right side as opposed to the left side. I may be wrong on that, but we usually have a phone number in the header up there so people can easily call, and then I would have a button to a free consultation or something like that, a free guide, free quiz, see if you're eligible, I don't know, something like that. Anyway, thank you very much, and big thanks to Richard for contacting me. If you would like a quick advice, consultation or video, just send me an email and I'm happy to do it. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.